All right, hello and welcome to another episode of the Wealth Building for Dummies podcast. My name is Kyle Demian. I'm joined here, as always, with Renji Matthew. And if you like saving money on taxes, this is going to be the episode for you. On today's podcast, we're going to be talking about 3 different ways that you can save on your taxes for the end of this tax year 2024 and going into 2025. Disclaimer, Renji and I are not CPAs or accountants. We are just a couple of dummies teaching you guys some of the different ways that we're saving on taxes, how we're building wealth. And our whole entire podcast is dedicated to money, wealth building, financial freedom, what we're doing, interviewing people that have done the things that we are implementing, and so on. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. And for today's show, the first tax deduction that we want to talk about that you guys can make is actually in investments and putting your money into different retirement accounts. So today we're going to talk about 3. This is the first one. And Renji, if you want, kind of get us kicked off on how people can actually invest into their future for retirement and how do they get a write-off for that? How do they get a deduction?
Yeah, so IRAs, 401ks, any of those retirement accounts where you're tax deferred, any tax deferred account, right? Because the whole idea is you're putting it into accounts that defer taxes. So it's giving you a deduction. It's not a write-off, it's a deduction. So you don't have to worry about paying it at that moment. It's for when you actually access the money later. So those are one of the most common ways that a lot of CPAs recommend. And this might be something you're already doing, because with your work employer contributions or the account you have with your employer, those are all deductions you're getting because you're putting money aside to be taxed later down in the future.
And you know what? Some people may be thinking like, whoa, you guys are the tax-free guys. You guys talk a lot about building tax-free wealth, right? And
Sure.
yes, we do. Renji and I tend to have similar beliefs that we think taxes are going to be higher in the future. But if you're looking for some last-minute ways to maybe just save taxes for this given tax year, this is one of the ways that you can actually invest and save into, different accounts for your future and for retirement, while today getting the benefit of tax deduction. So that is number 1. Number 2 is any charitable donations. So anytime you donate money to a cause or to a fund that's important to you, like make sure to keep your receipts. And actually last year when we were moving from Florida to Ohio, we had a bunch of old clothes that we were going to give away. And we just took it to Goodwill and donated our clothes. And I remember when I went there, they asked me if I wanted like an itemized receipt so I could keep track of it for tax purposes. And at the time, I didn't even realize it, and it never dawned on me that like those kind of deductions, or I'm sorry, those kind of donations could also be a tax deduction as well. So maybe think about cleaning out your closet, right, and donating some of your clothes like that. But charitable donations is another way that you can have a tax deduction for the year 2024. And Renji, anything you want to add on to charitable donations, or you just want to take us right into our third and our last tip for tax deductions for this year?
Yeah, charitable. It's funny because me and my wife were talking about this earlier this week. Something that we like to give to nonprofit organizations, and those are all tax deductions, right? So there are a lot of organizations that become nonprofit so that you can get more tax deductions for donations that you give, right? And something that we try to do, we try to give a certain percentage of our income to tithe, a certain percentage to just giving to different organizations or people in need. At the end of the year, if we get to, we put money aside. Other than giving, we also put money aside, and then at the end of the year, if we feel like we didn't give enough, that's what we give some more. And we don't do it for the tax deductions, but hey, that's a perk, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so going into the next one is business expenses. So if you're self-employed or if you're a small business owner and you have expenses, every business owner has some kind of expense, which it could include office space, supplies, mileage if you drive for your business, whatever it is, those are all tax deductions too. So you might have let's say you just created a business this year and set up an LLC or something like that. Those are all deductions for your business, right? Those are all expenses that you had for your business. So those are all write offs. So that's something to think about too. You want to and go into more detail with that one, Kyle?
Yeah, the so I actually just had this happen to me yesterday, and DocuSign, of all things, they had their annual renewal where they charged me like $120. And I thought about it and I was like, well, you know what? That's interesting because I could have paid $10 per month, and then so for it being December already, that would have only been an additional $10 that I could have wrote off for this year, 2024. But by paying that expense all up front for their annual plan, not only like with services like DocuSign, do you save money for paying annually like that, but because I paid all $120 up front, now I can deduct $120 this year instead of just that extra $10 that they would have charged me per month. And so that that number is small, that tax savings is small, but here's the thing, like those little small decisions can all add up and can save you hundreds of dollars, if not maybe thousands of dollars in taxes or money that you would have paid this year into taxes, right? And a key thing to keep in mind, we've talked about it before, but money today is worth more than money in the future will be. So maximizing and taking advantage of all the tax deductions that are available to you now in this year is so vital because we want to maximize our dollars for this given year, right? Because of inflation. Over time, just naturally, it costs 3 to 4% or so per year to live with the same amount of money that you may have had the year prior, right? So make sure you're maximizing these deductions. And Renji and I wanted to leave you guys with one last bonus one. And we kind of just talked about business expenses and different things that you can write off. But Section 179 of the IRS tax code talks about deductions that allow businesses to deduct the full purchase price of any qualifying equipment and software purchased or financed during that tax year. So, once again, if you're looking at any potential large expenses coming up in your business, maybe look to purchase that and do it this year before the end of the calendar year, right? And if you're watching this and if you don't have a business, guess what? There's a startup cost you can write off, and you can have, I think it's $5,000 that you can write off in your first year of operation for any startup costs that you have. And right, we've talked about it before, but we should probably mention it again because obviously you guys, some of you may not have seen our previous 90 or so episodes that we've done. But shifting from employee to entrepreneur not only gives you a lot more responsibility as an individual, but now that you become a business owner, you get some of these opportunities to write off additional deductions and expenses. And the crazy thing is if you're just an employee, when you make any of your money, you immediately get taxed on it. When you're an entrepreneur or you own a business, you make your money, you get the opportunity to deduct or have any write-offs, and then you get taxed on it. And that's the one big difference that most employees are not aware of and do not understand, is that becoming an entrepreneur has so much more flexibility in different ways that you could save in taxes that just are not available to the people that are employees. So look at starting a side hustle or starting a side business. You don't have to necessarily get into it to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, but if you want to do it to make a few extra $100 a month or a few extra $1,000 a month, you're going to get some tax benefits to doing so as well. And with that, Renji, anything else that you want to add on for our bonus deduction for this year, or anything else to wrap up this show for us here? The first show of December. Believe it or not, can't believe this year is almost already over. 90
Yeah.
podcast episodes later, and
Yep.
and here we are. So, anything you want to wrap us up with, Renji?
Yeah. Only thing I would say, business is not for everybody. But if you have a passion that you've been thinking about, that's been on your heart for so long, but you're just too scared to take action, think about who that service would provide value to. And if you're not providing that value, how many of those people are suffering because of it, right? If you taking action is going to save people money or save people time or it provides some type of value, that's going to be powerful. Hey, and then the tax benefits just come with it, right? So think about that. If you have been thinking about something for a long time, but you just don't know how to get started, or maybe your first action you take is Google. Hey, how do I start this business? and spend, a couple minutes a day to start out, and then a couple hours if you need to. Study that industry if you can, and don't be stuck on analysis paralysis, which is something we've both done. Kyle and I have both talked about this in the past. Take action. You will make mistakes. You will have failures, but don't let those stop you. If whatever purpose you have, whatever business you're trying to start will provide value for people, think about how much more valuable those will be if you make those failures and come through the other side. It's going to be a powerful story. You're going to be a megaphone for people that are looking for that opportunity, who are looking for that service and was lost without it, right? So think about that. Take action. The tax benefits come along with it.
I love it. Absolutely. And remember, Renji and I are not licensed accountants or CPAs, so make sure that you are working with somebody that knows what they're doing, a financial professional, right? That can direct you in the best ways and make sure that anything you write off is legal and compliant. And if you don't know where to start or how to properly interview a CPA or an accountant, number one, you must know like the 7 top questions to ask, because believe it or not, some accountants are, it's almost like they're secretly working for the IRS. And what I mean by that is they're not giving you or encouraging you to take advantage of some of these deductions just because they'd rather just file the taxes and get it over and done with. You want to have a tax advisor on your side, just like a financial advisor or a wealth advisor, right? You'd want to have a tax advisor on your side that's actually looking out for different ways and strategies to help you reduce your taxes, not only for 2024, but for every year beyond and continuing on. So if you guys want, we do have a free PDF guide. You can get access to it by joining our Skool community below, where I think right now we have 40 or 42 other members. And with our Skool community, we were just talking about it yesterday. We're going to start ramping that back up. And in January, we're going to be doing bi-weekly Zoom workshops talking about different areas of finance, retirement, taxes, and so on. So we're really going to start ramping up our Skool community. I believe as of January 1st, we're going to start to make going to start to charge for it, either $27 to $37. But right now it is free. So if you guys get in now before the start of the new year, you'll be able to lock in $0 a month, free 99 for the rest of your life for the Skool community. So check out that link below. If you guys like this podcast, got anything good out of it, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next podcast. Take care.